Speaking about the CEO, you'll be having a chat about the CEO's tenure tonight, I believe, at the meeting.
Yeah, we sure will.
Yeah. Is that all you're going to say on it?
I don't know what else there is to say. I think the decision will be made.
I'll have to read your Twitter site then, perhaps.
You might, although I would never say anything inappropriate on there, as we just discussed. Obviously, the decision will be made in Section 89 or in camera, so the public gallery won't be there, and the 9 of us will vote on it at the time. Obviously, there's been concern from the local community about a decision being made beforehand, but I'd like to very clearly state that the decision will be made tonight and nothing beforehand.
So the decision is about whether the tenure will be for the next 2 years, and then after that he's obviously made his decision after 2 years, hasn't he, that he won't continue with the position?
That's correct. Yeah.
So that's what the decision's going to be tonight, is it?
Yeah, whether to go out to market or to re-advertise, and
right.
If we do, Anthony will be will be able to reapply for that position, or whether to extend his contract for 2 years without re-advertising. So that's what's before the council this evening.
Did all councillors campaign for a review of the CEO's position?
I don't think all of the councillors campaigned for it. I think there were 6 out of the 9 of us that did. And I think that's interesting language.
Which were the 6 out of the 9?
Oh, I won't. I won't say that. But I think
I'll have to read your Twitter site again.
Oh, Mike, cracking me up. And we have reviewed the position. In fact, we're legally obliged to review the position. So it's interesting language. If the language was more that we would get rid of the CEO, that would be something different. But certainly we'll wait and see what the result is this evening.
Were there any other councillors that changed their mind in relation to this, the CEO's position?
They haven't
reviewing.
No, because the position has been reviewed. So, as I said, there's a CEO review committee, 6 of the 9 of us that sit on that. So that's an ongoing process. In regard to whether they changed their mind as to whether Anthony should stay or go, that decision hasn't been made yet. That'll be made in the chamber tonight. Right,
okay. Will the decision also be made, will part of that decision be, surely, I mean, if there's councillors that have doubts about the CEO's position, why not advertise it externally anyway?
And that's the argument of some people, certainly.
Will that be discussed tonight as well?
I believe it will, definitely.
Okay. Lake lighting you're going to bring up tonight too, I believe. Is this a sort of a pet concern of yours?
Yeah, I am. In fact, do you want to know where this all came from? I was talking about this on Facebook and I made a post and I had many, many, many people commenting on it saying
Steve Monaghetti some 10 years ago had pushed for this.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a new idea at all. In fact, it's been the last council even considered it, but they sided with the Lakeview residents. So the Lakeview residents said that it was around light pollution, so that it might reduce the amenity of the area. And the council sided with the residents and didn't put the lights in. But then this issue was sort of asleep for a while, and I'm sure many people have done work on it previously, but I'm saying what's motivated me to push for this at the moment was, in fact, conversations with many residents on Facebook. So it's gone to the Lakes and Gardens Advisory Committee, who provide advice to council on what should be done in the Lakes and Gardens area. And they're still considering it at the moment, but tonight I'm going to call for a report investigating the options for providing lighting around the Steve Monaghetti track. And I'm going to ask for it within 6 weeks. And I'm also going to ask for it to include the ability to establish a demonstration site around the lake. And I think in that way, if we trial perhaps 200 or 300 metres of it, a local developer actually suggested that we trial 200 to 300 metres so that people can see what it's like rather than doing the whole lot at once. We'll put it beside places where there are residences so that they can get an idea of whether they like it, whether it's appropriate or not. And I think if the running community or those who are recreating in the area like it, they'll make a really big push for it to be done the whole way around. But I think a trial is the best way to do it. So, I'll be asking for that at the meeting tonight.
And also you're asking for, requesting for a review of services too.
Yeah, I think as many people know, I voted against the budget a couple of weeks ago, and one of the main points I made during that was that council over the long term is not going to be sustainable in regard to all the services we deliver. So we deliver, I think it's 105 services at the moment to the community, and while they're all incredibly important, and if we had all the money in the world, we would continue to deliver them and in a very high quality way, but we need to look at what we're providing and what we can potentially be doing, ways that we can save money through joint procurement or doing it in a joining with other councils in the area.
There was some commentary about Anthony Shink's not just his tenure, but also how much he's getting paid. And in fact, I read not all that long ago where he'd be prepared to take a pay cut
I think
just
that,
to see the budget go through. Is that sort of something that would be discussed at council level tonight?
It won't be discussed this evening.
Yeah. But it has been on the table, has it?
Well, it hasn't really been on the table. I think that was a journalist at the Courier who rang up and pushed for whether it would be job losses or whether Anthony would take a pay cut.
I see, yeah.
I don't see that as a reality. If Anthony's happy to, then certainly that's one way that we can save money. But we also need to be looking at other ways that we can save money by, as I was going to say, potentially joining with other councils to go out to tender for services. And if it's a much bigger contract, then we're going to get it at a much lower price. There's many, many things that we can do like that to actually save money. So I want tonight I'll be calling for that process to start of reviewing the services that we provide.
This sounds like, to me, a little bit like Councillor Amy Johnson coming out and saying, look, I want to be an integral part of this council. I mean, you're young, you're vibrant, you want to see things happening. Have you felt a little bit perhaps suppressed up until now at council level?
No, not at all. In fact, I think I'm really lucky with the councillors that I am on council with. They've always been incredibly respectful of me as a young person and me as a female. I think previously there was councils where there were 9 males, and I think that it would have been probably quite difficult for them to have a young female on board. But yeah, the people that I work with are just incredibly respectful, and we all have exactly the same amount of say as everyone else. So it's great. And I think it's taken 8 months for most of us to get our head around the enormity of what council actually provides and the processes that you have to go through and the relationships with staff and how to get things through. And then you can look, well, how are we actually going to improve how we run and how are we going to reduce the burden on residents in regard to rates. And I think that that's the work we need to do now, rather than just continuing to increase rates every year. We need to work out how we can we'll have a rate increase always, I believe, even if only very slight, but we need to get it down far below 7.5%.
Are there people that have had a chat with you about concerns that they have with, cost of living going up? It's not just rate rises, but, there's energy bills that have gone up, there's gas bills that have gone up, and there's no doubt in my mind that people have some real issues pertaining to that. I mean, the 3BA Christmas in July appear with more people on the books, the welfare agencies than ever before is concerning. Does that concern you?
Certainly, and I feel the cost of living like everybody else. And it was really moving. Some of the people that actually came forward and presented during the council's meetings made submissions around their own personal circumstance.
Didn't matter much at the end of the day, though, did it?
It mattered to me, and it was, one of the many considerations, and that's why I voted against the budget. But obviously not. But yeah, especially older people who are living in homes and they own their own home and the value of the home keeps increasing, so their rates keep increasing quite a lot, but their disposable income is quite low and they might be on the aged pension or whatnot. And my heart really does go out to people like that. It's one of the worst stresses you can have is financial stress. And look, I won't go on with it because everyone in the community knows how tough people are doing it, how tough people are doing. But that's one of the main reasons to call for these service reviews and look at how we can actually be saving money within the organisation and doing things more efficiently. And that should be our number one priority. We shouldn't just continue to be spending on projects and thinking that the money's always going to be there. You
wouldn't want some of these services to go to the wall, though, either, would you? Because they're in fact helping people too. Yeah.
And that's what we've got to look at really carefully about how we can continue to provide services.
All right. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Good to talk to you this morning. Councillor Amy Johnson there, 29 minutes to 11. We'll take a break.
3BA's Tax Tips with Paul Clitheroe.
Brought to you by failing